It's a lot quieter now. Multiple agents were swarming this house in a bigger story which we're still piecing together. Watch how it all went down.
Come out with your hands up. We have a search warrant. We have an arrest warrant.
Chaotic moments unfolding in a quiet Malibu neighborhood on Saturday.
Put your hands up in the air. Stand still. Stand still.
A multi-year drug trafficking operation ending in 3 people being taken into custody.
Why do you say anything?
That trafficking bust tied to this suspicious house fire nearby, where 1 person died and 3 others were hurt. A fire, the DEA says, was likely ignited by an explosion at an illegal pothouse. Authorities seized 3 AR-15s, over $100,000 in cash, and 1,300 pounds of fentanyl and carfentanil, which is 100 times more deadly.
These are hardcore, violent, dangerous drug traffickers.
If you are a drug trafficker in Los Angeles County, we will come and find you.
The suspects didn't make it easy, even trying to make a run for it.
Don't face it! Stop! Don't face it! Stop! Get over here.
Just before their arrest, we actually spoke to the suspects. Here's what they had to say.
It's bad energy, it feels bad, and then I shouldn't be here.
It turns out, authorities were led to the stash house by victims seen rushing down this hillside, away from the house fire.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
We have some shady neighbors, and I think it might have started someplace with their apartment.
That information is still being investigated, as these fire victims just feel lucky to be alive. At last check, the victims were still being treated for their injuries and are expected to survive. This is a lengthy investigation, and federal officials are still trying to piece together how it's all unraveled. Zandy Harris, Malibu News 12. All signs point towards a government shutdown. I'm Andy Harris, and here's another breakdown from all angles. A government shutdown happens when Congress fails to pass legislation to keep the government open. The fiscal year ends today, and it appears that neither side is able to pass an agreement to keep the government open. The president blamed Democrats for the government shutting down. The problem with that is last week, Trump canceled a meeting with Democrats to negotiate keeping the government open. This week, they had a meeting which yielded little fruit, as both parties ended up blaming one another for the government shutting down afterwards. In a first that I've seen, the White House has uploaded a live shutdown clock in what they are labeling the, quote, Democrat shutdown. On the site, there are also several topics they list as rationale for why the government should remain open. Context is important here. The Republican Party controls both the Senate and the House of Representatives in Congress. So even with the filibuster in place, Republicans are having a hard time justifying the failure to keep the government open. Republican leaders are falsely claiming that Democrats are pushing for the shutdown because they want health care for undocumented immigrants. Now again, that has been proven false. Democrats have never said that, but that's the statement that Republicans are choosing to use with the shutdown looming. While Democrats claim that the proposed bill to keep the government open will make it harder to afford health care. These are some of the government services that may be suspended as a result of the shutdown. National parks and museums may shut down. Inspections from the FDA and the EPA may be suspended or delayed. Social services may be suspended also. Specifically, the benefits of SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, that may be suspended as well. Loans and assistance programs might get suspended. Specifically, the Small Business Administration may stop approving business loans if the government shuts down. Immigration court hearings might get postponed or delayed as a result of the shutdown. Call centers, hotlines, and benefit administrators could get suspended as a result of the shutdown, which would affect veteran services if the government shuts down. Now, Trump threatened mass layoffs if the government shuts down, even going as far as today to threaten to fire north of 200,000 federal employees. With the government set to shut down in a few hours, all we can do now is wait and see what the fallout is as a result. Hey guys, this is Andy Harris, and you're watching Hot Takes with Harris. My hottest take this week, the Los Angeles Lakers are still a playoff team. When they're healthy, this team is tough for anyone to beat. The Lakers are coming off their best win of the season, as LeBron James outscored the entire Los Angeles Clippers team by himself 19-6 en route to a comeback win over their rivals and roommates. After trailing by 21, the Lakers defeated the Clippers in their last matchup as co-tenants. The Knicks are in a tough position right now. They've had a bad month by their standards, going 4-7, but they're clinging to that 4th seed right now, but they're in the midst of a tough stretch of games. They've been playing well, but lack depth due to injuries. They lost a tough one in MSG to the top-seeded Boston Celtics on Saturday. Fortunately, they were able to beat the Detroit Pistons at home on Monday, thanks to a last-second bucket by Josh Hart. The game featured a controversial no call before the bucket. Then they were blown out by the upstart New Orleans Pelicans at home. The injuries are killing the Knicks, with key players like Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, and OG Anunoby being out, and they'll need to get healthy soon if they want to make it far in the playoffs. Things don't get any easier for the Knicks as they have a home date with the Golden State Warriors tonight at 7:30 Eastern. The Warriors have been on fire since they moved Klay Thompson to the bench and Chris Paul's return from his hand injury. I'm Andy Harris, and this has been Hot Takes with Harris. Tell me your name one more time.
I'm Reagan.
So, I love your costume, first of all.
Thank you.
So what made you want to wear your costume today?
I was really inspired by the protesters in Portland. I think that everything that's happening is so absurd. It would be funny if it wasn't horrifying, and I think that there's moments in history where fighting that kind of horror with the absurdity of it all is like, it just triggers something in the brain where it's like, I'm hoping that people realize how absurd this situation is, and just like how ridiculous that like protesters are being tackled to the ground, detained, violently hurt. Terrible, terrible violent things are happening to them as if they're being violent, and it's like, this is what we're doing. Like, we're dressing up like unicorns,
Right.
And we're having a good time, and like there's music and there's food and there's community.
Right.
So it's like, that's what this is all about. It's like, it's a symbol of how absurd everything is with the response from the National Guard and the regime.
We're currently on the East Drive in Central Park, just outside the Flacco Memorial, just 2 weeks after his tragic passing. Central Park, a place that gathers people of all cultures and creeds. This storied New York locale has played host to children and adults for over 150 years. Not only humans, it also hosted Flacco the Owl, an escapee of the Central Park Zoo. Flacco provided merriment and intrigue to tourists, native New Yorkers, and anyone else who took the time to come to this historic park. Unfortunately, that merriment came to a tragic end 2 weeks ago when this now famous bird was found dead after flying into a building on 89th Street. We spoke to some New Yorkers who had rather interesting perspectives on the passing of this bird.
I didn't know originally what this memorial was for, so we came over to see what it was. But as I work at a nature school, my students are all familiar with what happened. We all talked about it. So they came over to sort of pay their respects.
One of the women I spoke to attended the large memorial gathering on Sunday, which featured performances, speeches about how the owl touched the hearts of many, and what it could mean for legislatures, as the New York City Audubon reported there are 230,000 annual bird deaths in New York City from building collisions.
I came at 3 o'clock, and that's where the memorial started, and we have a lot of people, I would say at least like 100 people, and we had a lot of flowers and photos of Flacco and drawings and poems. And
there were even park rangers who had held their horses in the park to take a look at the memorial, but they declined to comment. The New York community continues to mourn the loss of their beloved owl, and it remains to be seen if things will change as a result of this tragedy. For NYU's Reporting the Nation and Reporting New York City, this is Andy Harris. Hey y'all, this is Andy Harris. Did you miss me? Well, I'm back with another episode of Hot Takes with Harris. March Madness is in full swing. Every team is fighting to keep their season alive, and we get to see some of the best buzzer beaters, like this insane play from Stephen F. Austin. After the Lumberjack turnover, Arian Simmons gets greedy and rejected. On the other end, Matt Heyman hits a shot at the last second, ending Abilene Christian's season. This is the third time ACU has lost to a buzzer beater this season. It's free agent frenzy in the NFL, and my hot take this week is the Giants' front office is laughable at best. In no functioning operation do you let your best player leave and sign with your division rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley was lowballed and inevitably franchise tagged last season as a result of the Giants giving QB Daniel Jones a massive contract. This is a deal that no doubt the Giants have to regret after a forgettable and injury-ridden season from Danny Dimes. They brought in Devin Singletary the same day they lost Barkley, and reports came out that they're looking to add another running back, but the damage is already done. The Giants had a rough season, and the latest decisions made by the Giants front office certainly won't help them get anywhere. The league's been full of crazy moves, with Joe Mixon going to Houston, Derrick Henry going to the Ravens, and the San Francisco 49ers releasing Eric Armstead. It's safe to say the league will look incredibly different next season. Thanks for watching Hot Takes with Harris. I'm Andy Harris. We'll see you next time.
We're standing here today in front of Elizabeth Street Garden, a garden that has been around since 1991 and a public space that has been opened for almost 200 years. This garden is facing permanent closure at the hands of real estate developers in New York City. For more on the story, here's Andy Harris.
Established in 1991, this garden has been a staple in the Lower East Side community for the last 30 years. However, for the last 10 years, the Elizabeth Street Gardens has been fighting to remain open. The Elizabeth Street Gardens has been a topic of debate and great intrigue for years. After the lot was abandoned in 1990, it was leased to the Elizabeth Street Gallery. What seemed like an under-the-table garden construction turned into a huge controversy between the city and the garden's managers. We attempted to speak with Joseph Reaver, the garden's current manager, but he declined to comment. The city wants to use the land to expand the city's public housing project, a far contrast from what the city claimed. The change came when former councilmember Margaret Shin transferred ownership of the land from the Board of Education to the New York City Housing Authority. After 2 rounds in the appellate courts, the city and the Elizabeth Street Garden are set for a 3rd round of court hearings in the Court of Appeals. The garden is currently serving as a public space with visual appeal, age-old statues and paintings. This will explain why the community wants it to remain open. In our brief time here at the park, we've seen plenty of dogs running around, fetching, barking. That may not be the case for very much longer if the garden loses their 3rd appeal in the courts. This is Andy Harris for NYU Now. Former Congressman George Santos has filed a lawsuit against Jimmy Kimmel. The expelled congressman has sued a late-night talk show host on accusations of fraud stemming from the cameo videos Santos was doing following his expulsion from Congress. The former congressman was sued and charged by the Justice Department for wire fraud. He then was expelled by Congress for it as a result, a fact Kimmel was quick to remind people of.
I am currently embroiled in what may be the most preposterous lawsuit of all time. George Santos, a man Republicans kicked out of Congress for being a fraud, is suing me for fraud.
In a lawsuit the show host called preposterous, it also claims Kimmel falsely represented himself as multiple different users seeking Santos's Will Santos Say It videos for personal use. It is unclear where the lawsuit will lead, but Santos is intent on seeing this through. For NYU Now, this is Andy Harris.